What's up, everybody? Hey, so typically Thursdays is the gambling show. They don't have the matchup or the whole shot odds or some of the props that they are going to put up yet. So today will just be a regular show. I'm not going to get into any gambling stuff. That will be tomorrow. As soon as I see those odds go up, I'll record a short one and it'll be gambling only, probably nothing else. Today I want to talk about Garrett Marchbanks and his split with Club MX. I knew they were splitting. I just thought it would be a lot better than this. I'm very disappointed in both sides. James Stewart is taking some heat for being critical of Chase Sexton. I'm going to tell you my thoughts on that and him as an announcer in general. Cooper Webb, looks like he's coming back. I got some information on that. And I'm going to share with you guys some YouTube numbers from an independent source that tells you how this channel does compared to Pulp MX, Racer X, and Vital MX. If you like the content I put out and you want to see more and you want to see me chasing more stories and I have more time to do that, go ahead and subscribe. If you don't, no big deal. Enjoy what I put out anyway. But I'm going to try and go that route and see if I can make this a little bit more of a priority in my life. And I have had so many people, friends, family members tell me I got unsubscribed. I don't know why it's happening. With that, the subscriptions are still going up. So I don't know what that tells you. We're killing it. But just double check if you could. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe. And if you got unsubscribed, go ahead, subscribe. And if you can, put it in the comments. Say, hey, I was unsubscribed. It helps when I go complain to YouTube about the problem.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
Quite often on my channel, I talk about the risks of this sport, the costs of this sport, and what can happen. But I don't focus enough on what they've done positive. Honestly, I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for dirt bikes. And I've had this conversation with my mom, who hated dirt bikes. She says she wished she never saw them, wished I never got into it because of all the injuries. But I had to tell her, like, do you understand what it did for me? What kind of life skills racing taught me? It taught me about hard work. It taught me about perseverance. It taught me that if you don't work hard, you will not win. And just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to win for sure. It gave me quality time with some friends and family away from devices. And my dad and I have some of the best memories of my life where him and I and my brother going to races and just sitting in the car, talking, hanging out, chasing a goal. And while, yeah, some of it did go bad, but that's life. Life has ebb and flows, ups and downs. But what I learned and the trouble, like I was a kid that kind of got into trouble. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but I'm somebody who kind of I could have gone a different direction. And some of my friends did go a different direction. You know what always kept me on the straight and narrow? Being able to go race my dirt bike, having that quality time where my dad could tell me life lessons and I can learn. Those are things that if I did not have that, there's a good chance I'm in jail or not here right now. I'm always talking about the negative aspects because I do want a lot of these negative aspects fixed, but don't get me wrong. The positives of racing dirt bikes with a family far, far outweigh this. And that's part of the reason that I fight so hard against these organizations who manipulate that. They understand how important it becomes to a family and they manipulate that. So that's why I go so hard at MX Sports, the Amateur Nationals, and a lot of the different things that I see wrong with the sport. But it's not because I think the sport's a mess. I love it, and it has done so much for me. When I talk about the negative things, it's only because there's so much positive, and I want to protect this beautiful thing that made me who I am. Speaking of positive, James Stewart is the best analyst that I've ever seen. Daniel Blair is probably the best in the booth. Weege is pretty good. James Stewart does exactly what you're supposed to do in that chair. He takes a look at the information. He was the best, the fastest to ever ride a bike. He has some insight that not every human has. And when he breaks stuff down, whether he's right or he's wrong, I trust that he's giving me his authentic opinion. When he yells, tuck the front end, son, like those are just fun things. And yeah, Chase probably isn't going to appreciate it, but I don't want an analyst up there running for office in the pits, trying to make everybody happy and keep every sponsor happy. I want somebody in that chair who's going to give me the information that lets me make my own decision. The way he pointed out what Chase Sexton was doing, where Chase Sexton's looking through the turns, Chase says that's not true. He says he looks up, but he gets more blood flow through his neck. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. The overwhelming evidence that we have is Chase doesn't look far enough out. And I think that was a great observation by Stewart. And for him to come out and say that, good on him. Chase might want to rethink that, and he might want to maybe just take a look at it. And I understand him and James have a fractured relationship. They used to work together, so there are some feelings there. But I don't necessarily buy what Chase is selling as far as, not keeping his neck down for blood flow. I don't know. I'm going to side with James Stewart on that one, but that's the thing. James gives us his opinion. He doesn't just fold over. He gives you what he sees and what he thinks Chase should do, and he thinks that would make Chase a better rider. Thank you, James, for having balls enough to just put your true opinions out there. That's all I want. I don't care if he's right or he's wrong. The authentic personality and how James delivered that couldn't have been better. Speaking of honest assessments, check out the Coach Rob podcast. Coach and Toolman Dan do a vet podcast, but he also does one dedicated to amateur motocross. And he had one of my favorite guys on there, Tony Alessi. Tony Alessi has so much knowledge about this sport, the good, the bad, the ugly. Check him out on the Coach Rob podcast or Coach Rob on YouTube. Epic Garage Designs. Travis is a true enthusiast of this sport, and he really likes to make garages look awesome. He's got a special. You get the two 80 by 81 inch bigger cabinets shipped to your house. You just mount them against the wall for $27.50. Check those out. Awesome stuff from Epic Garage Designs. So let's get into this Marchbanks and Club MX split. When I first heard Marchbanks had signed with Pro Circuit, I was disappointed. I really thought that they do not want to be a feeder team. They want to be an A-level team. They want to be a team that is battling for podiums. They want to be a team that gets factory support and battles for the highest championships in this sport. And back when they got Marchbanks, that's what they told him, and that's what they've planned. Has everything gone perfectly? No. It's running a team and bringing in riders and running a practice facility. It's not easy. There's a lot of personalities. There's a lot of egos. But let's start with how Marchbanks got to Club MX. He was riding for Pro Circuit. Garrett Marchbanks, I've been very open. He is one of my favorite riders. He also has Utah ties like myself. He grew up in Utah. I think that's maybe why I can understand him a little bit more, is we have a lot of that Utah personality. And I see a lot of that in Garrett, and I respect. He was a kid when he was on Pro Circuit. He had an agent that was a complete scumbag who screwed him over, soured the relationship with Pro Circuit. And I'll tell you this, one of the things that really hurt Marchbanks' feelings is after his agent had soured that relationship, those trucks are small. There's little dividers where the riders change. Garrett heard some people trashing him. They did not know he heard them. And he was pissed. And he was like, are you kidding me? All I do for this team, I keep my mouth shut, and these guys are trashing me? He's a very respectful, well-spoken, then kid, now man, and he doesn't really do that stuff. And he won't really, like, he's not the guy that's going to come in complaining, and he's not the squeaky wheel to get the grease on these teams. So when there's an issue, unfortunately, I think Garrett waits until that thing boils over before he says something. I wish he would say something a little bit sooner and be just a touch more vocal. He's learning. Like I said, he's growing up in front of our eyes. He was a kid. Now he's a man. I think this second run at Pro Circuit will be really good for him. Now, I was disappointed when he did sign with Pro Circuit because I wanted to see him go into the 450 ranks with Club MX. The one piece of advice I did give Garrett is I said, please maintain that relationship as best you can. Just like any breakup, no matter how much people want to stay friends, and that's exactly what this is. It's a breakup. And there were a lot of feelings involved because Garrett was at a very vulnerable position in his career when they hired him. They were at a very vulnerable position when they brought him on, and they've grown together. And they really wanted to kind of finish this thing out. Garrett felt a little bit like, you know, when Cody Schock came in, he's like, listen, am I getting what I want? He wants to ride a 250. They want him to go 450. There's a lot of internal communication that could have been a lot better between the two. I see both guys' sides. I really do. Both guys make great cases. In the end of the day, Garrett has to do what's best for him, and the team has to do what's best for them. Now, they were going to finish the season out. Have you ever quit a job and then had to work there for like another month after you've quit? It's uncomfortable. It sucks. People know you're a short timer. They are going to side. If there's ever a disagreement, they will not side with you. They're going to side with whoever's going to be there next year. And unfortunately, that's kind of what happened. They had some bike issues. He ran out of gas at Southwick. Now, that's debated on how that happened. I asked, after the hot lap, did they splash gas back in there and tip it off? They didn't. But then they also said Garrett over-revved it, which he might have. I don't know. If he stays on the team, I don't think this is ever an issue. But since that he's already signed, everybody knows he's signed, these small issues become much bigger. And then at Millville, his bike was acting funky. Now, this is a guy who has had bike failures cause serious injury. You remember his broken arm last year? He had a bike failure on the face of a jump. If he feels something wrong with that bike, he's not going to stay out there. They said nothing was wrong with the bike. He says there was. I'm sorry, but that's a trust that teams and riders need to have in each other. And unfortunately, right now at this level, they don't have it. So I think it is best that they part ways. You know, they let him go, and now he's free to do whatever he wants. I just really hope that they don't have burned bridges, because Club MX are good. They're good dudes that run that team. And I know Garrett is a good person, and I don't want to see these guys at each other's throats. I want to see Garrett go be successful on Kawasaki, and then who knows, maybe towards the end of his career, he may go back to Club MX, and I want that relationship to be good, because one thing about Club MX, Brandon and Mike B and the guys, they get mad, but they do forgive, and they understand that Garrett is a really good person, and I think that relationship hasn't been destroyed beyond belief. It's not like the Enzo Lopes situation where it's going to end up in court or whatever. This one is not totally destroyed. Will it ever happen? I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like these two, since they were both so good for each other, Club, when they were building the team, they really needed each other at that time. And I just don't want to see that. I don't want to see that get sullied because of the way it ended, because nothing ever ends good. Garrett does not want to sit and wait until next year. I look for him to be on a Kawasaki, because he signed with Kawasaki next year. I don't know if Mitch has a 450 around, if they have a spot in the 250s. There are a lot of guys out. Is there enough personnel to just throw him right in there? Because he already has enough points that he could get into SMX or Super Duper on the 250, no problem. But don't look for Garrett to just be sitting around twiddling his thumbs. He's looking to go racing. If you guys want some goggles and you want a company that is a solid company with a solid product, hit up Ride Strapped. Strapped is a goggle company that truly cares about this sport. They're not going to sue a local track. They're not going to do some of the things that other companies do. Yeah, there's another company that I'm currently researching that did something pretty crappy. It is not a goggle company, and I'm trying to be very careful with how I put that out. But yes, there's another company that looks like has done something very despicable to this sport. Ride Strapped is not one of those. Get your shirts, get your goggles, get whatever you want, and support those guys. They're good people. Precision Transport. If you're shipping anything using a truck, use Precision Transport. Another company that really supports, you know, the sport as a whole. A family that uses this to bond. It's a good company with good customer service and good pricing. Precision Transport, pretransport.com. So Cooper Webb, we've finally, we've seen him riding the turn track. We've seen him out at the lake. We've seen him with the thumb injury, and this is the year of the thumb injury. Jet, Eli, and Cooper Webb. They've all had these thumb injuries, but he looks like he'll be back, and it looks like Unadilla. He didn't make an official announcement, but sure looks like he'll be back at Unadilla. That will give him 3 gate drops before, or actually 6, because it's 2 motos, but 3 races to get ready for Super Duper, and I think he wants to win that. Look for Cooper Webb to get back out there. I don't know how he'll look. It's so hard to jump into a series right in the middle, but I think he's 100% just using this to prepare for those final 3 rounds. And I think that the Super Duper is going to be, it might not this year, but it is pretty big. This is going to be the big championship that people are looking forward to. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. Despite the fact that some reason things are getting unsubscribed, this channel is still crushing it. We're getting more YouTube views than Pulp MX and Racer X. Yeah, I said that right. I went to an independent agency and just plugged in some numbers. We're still behind Vital. We're gaining fast. And I can only imagine where we'd be if it wasn't for this unsubscribe issue. And that's why I'm doing the memberships for $2.99. If you guys want to be a part of it, I want to grow this thing. Right now, I'm the only employee. But I would love to grow to the point where I have a crew and we can actually do some more stuff and really ramp this thing up. And I think we can get there. So the first step is, if you want to support the channel, join the memberships, $2.99 a month. If you don't, no big deal. I don't mind. But that's a way that I was thinking I could generate revenue to go all in on this media thing. Thanks, guys, and I'll catch you later.